How space-time is created is through etheric mechanical means. Until there are space-time pixels set in place, there is no life that can be placed into a linear construct that allows us to think of something having happened yesterday or a year ago, because time isn't an actual real thing. Welcome to Decoding the Hive Mind, episode something, 20-something, who knows. But as we are all students of the fabricated space-time construct, we don't really become all kinked up if we don't have a chronological accuracy in place. Anyway, I'm going to continue talking about space, time, creation thereof. I believe it's chapter or episode 23. You got to, if I seem a little bit lackadaisical sometimes, you got to remember I've lived through all of this before many times, and sometimes I just have issues connecting with the immediacy, and I'm very apt to become what's the word I'm looking for when you have attention problems? You're distracted. That's it. Anyway. We have always had space-time to move about enduring this life. So we think this is just how it is, but that can only be said for a handful of beings who are in a corporeal, manifested state. Many beings choose not to manifest and simply experience eternally without hands and feet. Others choose to become mortal in varying degrees, so they can experience a heightened sense of interaction that will include touch, taste, smell, etc. With this choice comes increased risk, of course, just like choosing which car you're going to drive around the racetrack in an attempt to experience some thrills. The more powerful the car, the more chances you have to crash. And also, the more others will want your vehicle for themselves. 'Twas always thus, and I suspect will always be this way in such lower dimensions where people have yet to learn that there is no such thing as taking anything, even a stick of gum, and actually getting away with it. Those who have chosen corporeal existence and then were mind wiped upon rebirth have no idea of what they have done in past lives, or who they are today, from what star group, if any. This planet is a melting pot for beings from across the cosmos, who have been one by one ensnared by clever people who then use their energy for their own selfish gain. This is a big topic, and I only briefly touch on it in this section to establish for you, my dear viewer, what quadrant vectors are, so you can get some idea of how time is manufactured. I'll explain much deeper the situation that the abductees find themselves in throughout this report as well. Since you come from a place where there is nothing to begin with other than thought and energy, everything is a creation outside of that empty reality. Time and distance, time-space, are created just like a flower is created into existence. Time isn't random, and time is just as variable as the speed at which your car travels around the racetrack. In real life, a god, you, that would be you, God, can experience 100 races on that track instantly, or they can be broken down into 100 different races filled with adrenaline-induced anxiety to navigate each and every turn if you so choose, stretching out the experience much like extending lovemaking or savoring wine by small sips, let's say, so you can continue the event as long as possible. Playing field mapping in video games modeled after actual time matrix sciences. If you don't believe that, look up what Elon Musk has to say about the chances that we're all in an actual type of video simulation. Elon Musk, look that up. Matrix, digital matrix, simulations, virtual simulation. You will turn on the game and find yourself, let's say, inside of a dungeon. Oh, do tell. There you will stay forever until you do something. That act is generated by the spark of your imagination. Only members of the God family have this spark, and it cannot be manipulated to be cleverer than the level of your intrinsic abilities. You can either imagine there might be a bomb inside that chest you can use to break out with, or you can't. Likewise, only your awareness can then decide to kick the chest to try to open it, which will never work. Or do a dramatic acrobatic sprint across the room, leap into the air, spin your body around, and then deliver a ninja power kick to the box to increase your velocity in order to deliver a blow that will be enough to overcome the locks and latches, keeping it sealed. As explained, signature spirit essences, self-aware particles of God source, come into manifestation with differing levels of comprehension than others. It has always been this way, as there is no such thing as all men are equal. Though every member of the God family has identical potential, each one is unique, and some are simply cleverer than others. At each one's given point in learning, you might be, in real terms, 100 years old, but your buddy might be 100 million years old. He will be cleverer than you are. Within this reality, the only thing that serves the spirit essence to begin their journey, excuse me, I was distracted. I did mention I have issues with my attention, or rather lack thereof. Where was I? Oh, yes, of course. Within this reality, the only thing that serves the spirit essence to begin their journey is their ego, which tells them to either believe in themselves enough to attempt such flying ninja gyrations or dismiss those notions as wastes of energy and time. Some find their way out of the dungeon. Oh yes, that's right, we were in the dungeon. Some don't. Those who do are clever. And the cleverer they are, the more they begin to believe in their ego as their only real tool they can use to experience more of the game. In reality, your abilities are only limited when you choose to come into manifestation as your higher self in the Deity Planes knows everything and can do anything. But the body of who you will be once you choose to enter into an avatar in a mortal form will not be all-knowing and all-powerful, because those abilities are dictated by how rounded and balanced you are once you come into your own self-awareness. This is no different than having two children where one can do anything and the other can't tie his own shoes. If you were to come into manifestation to have some fun, and you met the wrong people who are a hell of a lot more cleverer than you are, and they choose to use your avatar and your mind for their own fun, you become their slave. No one plans to become someone else's slave, but it happens anyway. If you're reading or listening to this right now, you did come into manifestation, and someone did make you their slave. This goes even for those who think they are the slave masters, enslaving everyone else around them, because someone is pulling your strings too. That means 100% of everyone in this kindergarten sandbox, no exceptions, Anu. Even the most clever and powerful avatars of all creation, Elohim, who find themselves playing out this eternal childish game, were infected by the Budhara retrovirus, those nanites. And they too are slaves as well. This brings us to space-time quadrant vectors, which are the tools by which you are able to experience mortality within a holographic avatar, and which also can become invisible bars in a dungeon, keeping you from getting back to more enjoyable video games, time matrices. If you are ever going to break the cycle of permanent enslavement, you will need to know how your prison bars have been constructed by very clever, self-aware spirit essences. Now, keep in mind, every one of these beings are your family members, brothers and sisters, all playing in a sandbox together. They are not here to destroy you, even if they trick you and make you cry. They are just there to have fun and experience just like you are. If they just so happen to be smarter than you are, they will eventually use this to their own advantage to have more fun. Or they will be more mature than that and leave the sandbox so they won't wind up tricking you into eating rabbit pellets just to get your reaction when you figure out they aren't really chocolates. Applying a bunch of spiritual nonsense to your situation is a distraction designed to keep you occupied so they can extend the game. You are not some Ruby Diamond level 60 Reiki master Gestalt or a Grand Poobah wizard of the universe. You are a child with the last name of God, just like everyone else with the blue flame spark who comes into an avatar to play in sandboxes. It's going to be up to you, yes, you, to either continue to listen to your ego so you can continue to extend the play of the game, or you are going to realize that tricking your sister into eating rabbit pellets isn't something you want to continue to do for eternity. Reminds me of the story Alice Cooper shared when he was a child in his autobiography. I'll leave it at that. Oh my God. Never ate another cream donut again in my life after reading that horrible. All right, I'll shut up. What in the Sam Hill? What is this all about? All right. Mechanically simulated scalar map is made up by beams of light, photon particles that travel across any section of any space equidistance apart. Let's take another look at that, shall we, folks? What is going on in this scalar map? All right. Not within my pay grade. I'm the reader. You are the parser. This is data for you to code, take it to decode the matrix, the digital matrix, folks, to free us all. It's incumbent upon you, the viewer, to take this actionable intelligence and free us all. Don't forget me. Now, if you place phase pulsation lasers side by side, each other every inch, this lays out a map. If the laser functions on a precise pulsation that never deteriorates regardless of distance, those pulsations are timed, which means that every inch there is another pulse, which gives that point in a space a number. It is easy to understand language that simply means that 25 pixels up and 25 pixels over is 25, 25. As you will learn in following sections, laser light is a special frequency that is the same bandwidth of Y and Z. Gauge bosons, quantum particles, if you will. These particles hold the coordinates of every fraction of inch within space-time. Space-time is simply a word to depict a playing field where holographic existence is possible, such as found inside time matrices. In this mechanical example, where you are emulating a scalar grid, each grid you create using laser beams, let's say all of space, is then broken down into quadrants. Then inside each quadrant, or exactly a quarter of that space, is placed another grid, which then delineates into quadrants again, and then again, and then again, until you have a scalar grid for every square inch of all space that you can apply a number to each square or pixel. You do this for every inch side by side and front to back. So just like the top right image above of a chessboard, every single 1 inch square has a number or vector. Now you have a number for every horizontal inch and every vertical inch, and each one is numerically sequenced, allowing you to locate instantly any inch within the entire fabric. Within that vector, I can tell the computer to go cast a hologram of a chair right there in that pixel point and nowhere else. The military uses scalar mapping constantly and tells the public it is the wind, water currents, etc. It just shows how gullible we are and willing to believe anything we are told. It is a physical, scientific impossibility for wind or waves to produce the patterns seen here. The ocean is weaponized and was used to target Fukushima nuclear reactors in 2011 with preset ocean floor tactical nukes from the comfort of their armchairs at the Pentagon to force Japan to sign the Trans-Pacific Partnership deal. Immediately following the attack, they did. Whoa. Look at there, folks. It puts me in mind somewhat of the islands in the South China Sea that the Chinese have been manufacturing. Anyway, shall we continue on? Every subatomic particle of all space-time has been scalar mapped by gauge bosons, which are 2/3 of the Trinity force that delineates the projection screen of Earth. As you will see in later chapters, they are quantum entangled, so they simply agree among each other which pixel they are going to hang out and to provide the flash that will create reality for that quadrant vector pixel. Each particle is standing right there in order to function as the projection screen of that precise pin dot of manifestation space. As you can see in the previous image above top left, chemtrail targeting and immediately above in the ocean, humans know about scalar mapping, and they have for a very long time. They use it for weather manipulation as well as every possible nefarious agenda that the human mind could imagine, and many others that the human mind wouldn't be able to imagine because humans don't think like vampires. They think like humans who have been coded to compassion. That compassion can be derailed and replaced with some level of lack of morality, but not completely. Those who go around shooting each other are good examples of how humans have been recoded to stupidity through brain mapping that vectors off the human mind in the same way as explained here. The imprecise points of the brain that regulate hate or violence are simply targeted to do this, and then the body obeys. And that is called RNA command. That takes over the actions of something or something else below the DNA level. If the person who is making remote controlled still has any intrinsic common decency within their prana seed, they can resist those messages and tell the frequency waves, no. This is a TV or computer screen. Creation of gravity, light, time, and God particle. There we go. All right. By scalar mapping the screen, I can tell you that in quadrant vector 90434, I want 3 slightly different color pixels at 435C, 436C, and 478C subvectors to make up the retina of the eye of the person number 9043D, Delta 63 Zulu, 436 Bravo, 978 Hotel. Each pixel that holds the space on the screen above is working that vector of that one screen. The little boy in the picture is not going to jump off the screen and walk around your living room. You can only see the boy there in that one dimension. But if you put 20 million TV screens in front of this one, you could see him not only walk from side to side of the screen, you could see him walking physically towards you in your room, giving him a third dimension to move about in. No matter what the boy does in the hologram, the pixels will never move from here to there. Space-time pixels don't move either. The energy song of the crystals traveling through each pixel does, but not the space-time vectors themselves. That means as you walk from the middle of your room toward the door, the particles that you are made out of do not travel with you to the door. They stay right there, and as you pass through the pixel particles of ether, you become illuminated into what looks like reality. Of course, your hologram is much more technologically advanced than your TV screen is, but they operate in the same basic way. It's just that in the time matrix hologram, the little boy has feelings and emotions and feels pain. Emotion stands for electric motions or sensory animation within a biological life form or even inside a completely mechanical entity such as a robot or nanite. If you can feel or sense something, then you have an electric physical response to the particle's manifestation within that animation or emotion. In a CRT TV, there are photon guns that shoot colors at the screen picture, illuminating them red, blue, green, or varying shades of such. Each shade of color is a frequency. Each frequency has a code. Every code has a number. So, in real terms, I could either type out bluish yellow, or I could type out 344-545 equals 334-523-235-209. Either way, I can tell that one pixel at a vector here to be this precise color. And realize that each pixel's job is not to create a human or create a tree. It simply creates one single color held by the image of that person or tree. It is merely producing the shade of part of one fleck of gold in the cornea of an eye, or a single dust speck. This is not magic. Your computer screen uses the exact same technique to project images that look as crisp as shiny new penny. Got me a shiny new penny. Look at there, folks. Let's see, what is this all about? A photon gun laser is an electromagnetic command device that takes electricity, turns it into light, then sends that light exactly where you want it to go. A sentient being's thought waves are photon guns. Our photon guns we use in TVs are merely the mechanical emulation of what a sentient being does organically, just like a robot is a mechanical emulation of a sentient being. When you open your eyes, you expect to see a TV, let's say. When you turn on the TV, you expect to see the news on the screen, same thing. As long as you aren't listening, will, or the TV sound, expecting to touch, will, the TV case, expect the TV to exist, will, or expecting to see, will, the TV, and you are the only sentient being in the room, then that TV does not physically exist. And that has been proven hundreds of thousands of times around the world in the quantum double slit experiment. Sentient beings expecting to see a TV will see it. Dogs and cats and robots cannot see the TV unless you will them to do so. Factually speaking, dogs and cats and other robots do not have photon guns inside of their mind. Their artificial eyes can mechanically see a TV that a sentient being creates, only if a sentient being is observing it, willing it into existence. But they can't actually bring that TV into existence, and they can't see it unless the sentient being is aware of the TV's existence in some way. Ether particles literally do not manifest or work for non-sentient beings. Non-sentient beings can only see what is being placed into existence by a family member of God source, a fellow fractal of God. Flashline sequences are used in holographic projection. What you see is flickering on and off at all times. They are flickering far too fast for your eyes to see the refresh rate pulsation, nowadays anyway. And just as a movie projector flashes one picture after another to create the illusion of movement, you can't actually see each frame of the movie. All you see are 50,000 still pictures thrown together that look like a movie named after a moving picture. Which, by the way, is one of my favorite Rush albums, Moving Pictures by Rush. Namaskaram. Your TV screen or computer monitor works through flashing on and off, and your physical body does the same thing. Even modern science will tell you that nothing is static. There is no such thing as anything in existence that doesn't appear and then disappear. Quantum science makes this abundantly clear, that the flashline sequence is happening at all times with all things. Matter can't do that. Either it's there or it's not. If not, there's the second and there the next, then where did it go? If not there this second, and then here the next, then where did it go? Ether particles power the pixels of the space-time fabric. At the end of a cycle of manifestation, all particles, regardless if they are a light photon or a steel particle, same thing, or a water particle, manifest through one cycle. That will take 1/1,000,000th of a second, or they might cycle a few times while that leaf is static in that one spot, until the wind blows it into the next quadrant, and the particles there in that sheet of the grid light up showing you the leaf is now over here. Regardless of which particles are lit up at the moment, the message behind the action remains in action until the full tour of duty, called a mission, for that command has been completed. It might take 1 trillion particles to complete that tour, and it might take 50. The particles themselves aren't depleted, as they carry enough energy for millions of flashes before needing to be recharged. Plus, they continually power much of their own energy as needed within each flash cycle. The crystals that carry this energy do move, however, which will be covered later. Even then, it is still holographic. The pixel never moves, but it appears that way to science. All you are seeing, touching, smelling, tasting, or hearing are pulses in the projection screen of that different or separate sheet within the fabric of the holographic spectrum, simulating electric motion, E-motion. The patron particles traveling within that one pixel print out a geometric command of a certain color code. The color code for that 1/1000th of a second is carried to that pixel by the God particle, as explained shortly, which carry all the parameters of the entire mission. Just as one cell of your DNA carries 100% of all the command codes to recreate your entire body in a cloning pod. And of course, man has known about the command codes within DNA for a very long time, and have cloned animals, plants, bacteria, and humans millions of times since. They know they can duplicate exactly what that person is supposed to look like, or exactly how big that cow will be if they simply stack the DNA sequence precisely as it had been in the original DNA cell. That DNA cell is nothing more than a different mathematical language than you are used to, using geometric patterns instead of numbers, because geometric patterns work millions of times faster than stacked or sequenced numerical equations. Just ask any quantum computer programmer who uses qubit spheres instead of ones and zeros, binary mathematics. Remember, it was mentioned here before that all things down to the lowest level of creation are spheres. Quantum computer science knows all about this, which is why their geometry creates geometric spheres called qubits. Keylon templates are also spheres, but shown here in 2D form, they can be easily illustrated on your screen. Creating the fabric of space-time. Now we get to your own movement, walking from the middle of your room toward the door on the other side. As you can see, at each different scalar grid, fabric sheet of space-time, the particles that look like you flash on when the command sequence reaches the pixel of the scalar grid, then flashes off, then appears again at the next scalar grid you are walking through. There's that for you, for your consideration, good viewer. Eyes, senses project what you view through matter, antimatter energy, the on-off sequence. Material reality always casts a shadow, antimatter. Let's walk in the shadows, shall we, folks? As long as I can convince you, as long as I convince you that you are the image on the screen and not your awareness that is casting that image, then I can convince you that you are mortal and subject to my command. The moment you understand that your awareness is eternal, then you will stop projecting your image onto the screen, and that game is over. Freeing your awareness to enter a different game. The only beings that can ever die are beings we created with our awareness. Once we stop projecting them into reality, they vanish. But because they look and feel real, we believe they're the same thing as we are. This is not true. Only members of the God family can create anything, as I continue to repeatedly, redundantly repeat. Repeatedly, redundantly repeat. Repeatedly, redundantly repeat. Everything else is simply a construct of what we, the collective of the God family, manifested in the first place. We can unmanifest these as easily as we manifested them, but we need to be in agreement of what is real and what is no longer there. This is why the world continues in the condition it is in, because they remain separated through wars and races and sports and other mind programs humanity is under. First, you need to be able to communicate. Once you do, you find out that humans are humane. It is only your captors, the nanites, who are the absurd monsters you think you are seeing on the news who appear human. They are not. This is the essence of free will choice. You agreed to enter into this time matrix, whether you were tricked into that or not. You chose through a combination of your actions to be abducted, whether that happened in 5 seconds or 100 million years. As long as you are here, then you must exist under the agreement that is not 100% of your own creation. And you are then forced to work as a team to either continue to manifest this hologram or at the mercy of your other partners in this creation to continue to experience what the collective chooses to experience. You must reach a 51% agreement between the creators of this game in order to turn it off, or you must leave the game yourself and exit the hologram alone. Your partners have hidden the exit door. That is what we are here to show you how to reach if you are ready to turn the key on. If your self-awareness is inside of your awake body, then your awareness will now act like it is inside of a body for material manifestation. Thus, the scalar grid will allow you to sense sight on your way to the door. Your awareness will project the image of yourself along with the world around you, adjusting your perspective of reality, angles and colors and textures as you move your awareness from here to there. If you were to zoom in on the grid sheet that illuminates what you look like down far enough, in effect slowing down time, you would see your body flash on and then off, then on again, just like quantum particles do. As your awareness reaches the next grid and the next grid, etc., without the scalar grids within your time matrix, you wouldn't be able to sense the difference between walking, sitting still, or running, because there would be no frame of reference for the motion or lack thereof. That is why you have to enter inside of a 15-level time matrix in order to enter into manifestation, in order to create the illusion of time, or for baby Jesus to enter into manifestation below from heaven above. Above is talking about higher frequency spectrums than the one you can view, or completely outside of manifestation, called the Deity Planes, where all there is thought and static dormant energy. When I change the flashline sequence structure of your space-time fabric, I can change what you see, touch, smell, taste, and hear, just like changing the channel on a TV. The Wiesadek Phantom Matrix Metatron Scalar Science, held in the geometric shape of the pentagram, is an operating platform, for want of a better word. When you stick your video game cartridges into one video game console that was made for a different player, if it plays at all, it will not appear like it would inside the platform it had been designed for. The reality that you see inside of this console within a different console is not real. As long as you continue to act like it is real, then it will continue to be your actual reality. Folks, I feel a little bit discombobulated right now. I feel almost disingenuous, and I feel like I hope I haven't led anyone down any kind of erroneous path in this venture. I don't know. I just feel a little discombobulated right now. Like, I thought I had things figured out, but I think I'm going to have to stay up for the next night or two, and I'm going to have to really seriously reconsider some things and evaluate what is my belief matrix. Um, I hope all is well in your world, and may the cosmos and the light of the new moon bless us all. Namaste. Namaskaram.